man takes a cigarette, puts it in your mouth. You pull on your finger, then another finger, then cigarette. The water wall is calling, it lingers, then you forget. Oh, ho, 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 you're a rock and roll suicide.
The Brewer skate team came and put on a demo.
You're too
There.
old
I
to
mean,
do
I
that.
have never, ever seen anything like that.
That's
These
his
guys
sponsor.
were so good.
Rodney Jesse, the guy's name,
He was incredible.
he
The
was
blonde-haired guy.
kind of like a Tony Alva type of character, and Brewer was the company that was sponsoring me, and these guys came to do a demo. And we thought, you know, skateboarding was great in Pensacola. Don't be wrong, they were great skaters, but when these guys showed up, the level of talent was just so much more than what we had ever seen. And to see it live in a place that you skated every day, to see these guys come in and just take the place apart was really, for us, really exciting.
Was the level of skating here close to that, or?
We were just behind the curve. The involvement of skating was the same.
These guys were surf skating.
Yeah, these were surf skaters. You know.
And we had guys like Ted Scarrett that were incredible trick skaters, but these guys were surfing on the ground, on the pavement. And that was, they were just standouts.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Everything stopped when these guys would hit the bowl. I mean, all of us would just stop, you know. And I can remember thinking at this point, if these guys are this good now, where is this going to go and what it's going to turn into? But they just blew Steve and I away. We just
You know,
kind of
the one moment I really remember was in that Rodney Jesse guy went into that bowl, and he went up in the way that the street, the lights were shining
his
down in
hair
there,
and everything.
and he went up off the top of the bowl and started sliding his wheels, and he actually threw out a fan of dust, like a spray, like off the lip.
Yeah.
And we looked at each other,
Things have
and
changed.
man, I ain't never seen anything like that before. That one moment just stands out.
And it stoked us, you know. It made us realize that, you know, around this town, we were all considered really good skateboarders. And it was, don't get me wrong, there was some great skateboarders. But that showed us that there was a level that we really needed to strive for. And I think skating got better after we witnessed things like that. You know, it showed us what was possible back then.
Even Bob Jarvis, who was really good with all the 360s and stuff, the other guys that were doing the surf skating.
And the skater, Kenny Means.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And fun for us to watch, you know. We were just kids.
So you both were involved at the Islander factory. You were doing the skateboards. You were doing some board repairs. Steve was, I guess you were.
I was doing a lot of boat repairs.
I was the rub out guy.
Boat repairs and laying up panels of fiberglass to cut fins out of, that Mike Bredesen taught me how to do.
And he's a pretty good fin guy.
Well, the same pallets they were making, we were making flexible skateboards out of.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, so what we would do is Mike would make it, and they would cut out templates for the fins, but also cut out templates for the skateboards. I guess we were trying to go after the G&S Fiberflex kind of feel, on a you know, an easier way to make them. But yeah, the same kind of stuff.
You know,
Mike Bredesen was the guy.
What we had was a 2x4 table frame, just the frame, and for the tabletop it was a big piece of 1/4-inch glass that we had waxed with car wax, and then you would lay the squares of fiberglass cloth on it and fiberglass them and roll it out. And it had a light underneath, so that you could see any little air bubbles, and you could squeeze them out with the roller.
Never seen anything like that before that, though.
And you know, you would build up, Mike would say, you'd build up 15 or 20 layers, and then you'd stop, and then you would just paint it with one layer of resin, a different, like a white, and then you'd lay up 5 or 10 layers of blue, then another just brushed on white, and then 15 layers of yellow on top of that. And then when you would foil the fin, the center was one color, and it would fade out to the other color. Just a total lost art.
Yeah.
Nobody can do that anymore. Nobody does that.
It took a lot of time. That was the biggest thing, you know. The things were done, hand done like that, so it took a lot of time to do these. But his fins, he made wooden fins also that he spent a lot of time with. And they were beautiful works of art. Even if you didn't surf, They were just nice works of art, and he really did a lot of work.
There you go.
Very similar to the same thing.
There you go.
Larry Allison did that. Fiberglass fins last 40 years.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, you know, the Californians are the leaders in innovation in surfing equipment. I hate to admit it, but it's true. They really are. They're the ones that they set the pace for the rest of the world. You know, if you look on the internet now, and because the internet is free, and you see all the blog sites, and you see what all these people are doing, it's very obvious that things have just come full circle. That the soul was there, then it was commercialized to the point where now it's so commercial that it's all imports, and now there are people going back to grassroots. And the only way that we can see what's happening is on that internet. You know, without it being paid for and then published in magazines.
And the paid for and published in magazines is real. It's not necessarily the truth. It's more the hype.
One-sided.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, it's a marketing. You know, there again, you know, it's a difference between the love of a functional art and something that's being marketed from a business point of view. Yeah, both go hand in hand, but there is definitely a sharp line between the two.
And where does that sharp line come up to in your view?
Okay, here's what it is. It was many years where I had to build a lot of boards to make all my payments and bills and to live. And now that I did all that and beyond that, now I'm building boards because I love to build boards, and the money just kind of falls into place. But to be able to build boards, there's two different ways of mentality to think about it. I'm building boards to make a living, and now I'm building boards because I love to build boards. It's the same thing as if you were a painter. If you had to do paintings because you needed to feed your family, you know, your mental outlook on something that's as artistic as doing paintings is, you know, when you're doing it for the money to meet a certain economic need as compared to doing paintings because you love to create art. You know, there's a difference there. I guess it's a little hard to understand, but when you're the person doing